Greetings. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. I was able to schedule this live a little under 2 hours before 6 p.m. Pacific time. I wasn't planning on going live today due to the fact that I just got home from Colorado, where I was over the last couple days. But after what happened today, you guys like my shirt, huh? I need to give a report because what happened today is actually it's like a movie being played out. It was the final move. This might sound weird, but it was the final move that was initially planned by the Dark Hats and their final effort, right, to do away with 45. But it was a final move that was also, again, guys, everything happens for a reason, and there's a reason why this happened. It was supported by the White Hats. Let me explain. For those that don't know me, I'm Ishmael Perez, the author of The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, and Our Cosmic Origins. In either case, guys, I'm just going to go right into this because what happened today is historical. Apparently, it looks like the tables have turned on the Cabal. Things have shifted as a result of what's going to be happening following today's event. Okay, so the attempted assassination, guys, of 45, soon to be 47, is what a lot of truthers were referring to as the scare event. Okay, many people were talking about this scare event that was supposed to happen. Here's my microphone, much better. A scare event that was supposed to happen, and many people were thinking, well, is it going to be a second pandemic? Is it going to be, where they take out the grid, not through the solar flash, but of course through technology? No, the scare event that people were prepping for in the last couple of months, I believe, was the attempted assassination of 45. Okay, but however, fortunately, the forces of light were able to counteract the situation in favor of the light. So let me continue. So apparently, this was a scare event, as mentioned, but it failed. Okay, this was the Cabal's last effort to make sure that the White Hats didn't secure the victory. Okay, so its implications and its subsequent actions, again, were actually approved by the White Hats and the Earth allies. Because if you guys really think about it, they could prevent this event from happening, but it needed to happen for the very reason that this event is actually going to gain 45 more supporters in the long run. There is going to be a conversion of normies who are going to open up their eyes and say, hey, wait a minute. The fact that they're trying to assassinate this guy means that obviously this guy is good, because only common sense will tell you that only the good people get assassinated, right? Not the wicked. When have you guys heard of a Cabal agent or puppet become assassinated? It never happens. The White Hats throughout history have never played dirty like that. All right. What they do is they take them to Gitmo, right? But the whole point is that this event is actually going to win him more support. Okay. So today we gather to discuss this monumental event. This is an emergency live that apparently this event shaped our world and is going to signal in the final act in the long-standing battle between the forces of light and the forces of darkness. Okay, guys? The recent attempted assassination of former President 45 marks what many refer to as the scare event, and it's a failed event. We don't have nothing else to worry about, guys. This is it. This is what all these other people were talking about, all right? And this failed attack that was orchestrated initially by the Cabal was their desperate final play to retain control, all right, and execute, of course, their one world government. They needed Sleepy Brandon, or if they were going to bring someone else in, all right, that was up for debate, but they needed somebody that was working for the deep state to give them another 4 years in order to bring in the New World Order. But that timeline was apparently canceled, all right? So, however, it has only seemed to mobilize the White Hats and their allies. What happened today fell in favor of the good guys, igniting a global movement to activate martial law. Well, now, my friends, and this is why the White Hats allow this to happen, because they have access to technology where they're able to see probable futures. And even Tesla, the time traveler, and the temporal triple alliance um, had to allow this final event to happen for the very reason that now they are in key position. Now they have a reason to activate martial law and expose the cabal and bring them to their knees, and of course their exposure to the general public. So this past weekend, there was also a historical meeting that took place, and a lot of it has to do with what happened today. Okay, it's funny how the ETs and the Earth Alliance always know what's going to happen ahead of time. Okay, because this event took place today, right on the 13th, whereas on the 11th and 12th, 2 days before the event, check this out. This is coming. This is a report from the meeting that took place between the Earth Alliance and the Galactic Alliance here in Colorado, where coincidentally I happen to be. So this past weekend, this historic event apparently took place in the hometown of NORAD, okay, which became, it's a secure facility. I have mentioned this before. That's the Earth Alliance White Hat main secret headquarters. They call it NORAD, but it's located in Cheyenne Mountains. It became the epicenter of a crucial gathering involving members of the Earth Alliance and our allies from the Galactic Alliance. Representatives of the Pleiadian High Council were there, representatives of the Venusian High Council, including Commander Kortek and, of course, Valiant Thor, a couple of representatives from the Arcturian and Andromedan Council were there as well, and this whole meeting was presided over by the Syrians, the Syrian High Council. There was a couple of members of the Syrian High Council that were presiding over this meeting that took place 2 days ago. So the unprecedented assembly was not just a reaction, all right, knowing what was going to happen, but it was also a way to take proactive measures to make sure that, of course, 45's life was not eliminated, okay? So they allowed the event to happen knowingly that they were going to miss, okay? Again, a lot of this stuff is part of the final play, guys, all right? So the good news is that this scare event that they were prepping people for in the last couple of months failed, and it happened today. All right, so now things are going to be moving forward in favor of the light. So the past weekend, apparently, part of this meeting was also discussing the Cabal's attempt in initiating Project Bluebeam, okay, which is not going to happen anymore. So the first order of business was to ensure the safety of 45, first and foremost. That's why this meeting took place. Our sources confirm that elaborate measures were put in place. This is coming from Commander Valiant Thor. He says, our sources confirm that elaborate measures were put in place to thwart any further attempts at his life. And what this means is that this wasn't the only attempt at his life. There were other attempts at his life throughout the years, okay? This was one of many attempts. All right, but again, this needed to happen. All right, so in a way, yes, 45 did sacrifice a chunk of his ear, a little piece of his ear, but in the end, it's all good. Okay, he's going to bring down the cabal. So this includes heightening security. Part of the meeting included heightening the security protocols, advancing their surveillance. All right, we're talking about how everything was monitored down to the point where even 45 turned in order to allow the bullet to not hit his head, and of course it hit his ear, but there was a reason why he turned when he did. Okay, it was all pre-planned, guys. In a way, you know, okay, put it this way, Trump in a way knew what was going to happen to him, but he also knew that he was going to be spared because he knew that he had not only his Secret Service there, but he also knew that he had special support from members of the Galactic Alliance as well. So the White Hats knew that this was coming, apparently, through Looking Glass technology, and allowed it to happen while securing his life, knowing that this would bring him more support and acceptance in his long run. So the second critical agenda item that was part of this meeting that took place 2 days ago was the potential Project Bluebeam scenario. Now, for those that are unfamiliar, Project Bluebeam suggests the Cabal's final, stage in you could say, faking an alien invasion using advanced holographic technology. And many people thought that that was going to happen sometime this year. In fact, many people still believe that it's going to be that was the scary event that was going to be happening sometime in July. They say the 13th or the 15th. No, it's not going to happen, guys. Luckily for us, that timeline was also canceled. Okay, so the discussion that took place in Cheyenne Mountain focused on neutralizing such a threat. We're talking about Project Bluebeam, right? This is another thing that they are neutralizing as I speak, ensuring that any attempts to deceive the public with false extraterrestrial narratives would be swiftly countered. Okay, so the meeting also highlighted the synchronization of efforts between the Earth Alliance and the Galactic Alliance. So basically, our space allies have provided invaluable intelligence and technical support to the Earth Alliance, to the White Hat military, um, ensuring that the Cabal's plans are continuously thwarted, all right, until they're finally exposed to the general public and hung. So this cooperation underscores the prophesied unity of humanity and our cosmic brothers and sisters in the fight against tyranny. So now, as the White Hats prepare to activate martial law, because this is what they needed a reason to activate martial law. All right, I'm sorry to say this, but it's called probable reaction solution, the same methodology that the Cabal has been incorporating for thousands of years, right? So that's why the White Hats allowed this to happen. So, so now we are going to be witnessing, as a result of what happened today, um, some sort of worldwide, beginning with the states, martial law, which is what many call the 10 days of darkness. Okay, so this is it, guys. The storm is upon us. Martial law, which is often misunderstood as being implemented not to suppress freedom, but to protect it, because it's going to be done by the good guys. Okay, it will provide the necessary framework to arrest key Cabal members and any of their lackeys, including sleepy soldiers like that. Guy by the name of, supposedly they identified the shooter, but we all know he was a sleeping cell working for the deep state. But according to the mainstream media, his name was Mark Violet. Okay, they said that he was part of Antifa, but of course we know that Antifa, as well as all these other groupings, were all created by the deep state. But just like in any scenario, there's always a lackey, right? But we do know that he was obviously controlled through mind control by the corrupt function of the Cabal-run, three-letter agency. So the public will finally see the evidence, apparently now, of this Cabal's, agenda, and the truth will no longer be hidden. Okay, so this scary event, which took place today, again, guys, it could have been worse. All right, because think about it: if they would have succeeded, and thank God for the good guys, and thank God Himself, if the Darksters would have succeeded, that would have been it. There is no other person in our planet that is capable of draining the swamp like 45. Okay, so this scary event, the attempted assassination of 45, was indeed a wake-up call. Apparently, it's going to win him more support. A lot of the sleeping masses are going to wake up, hopefully, and understand that it's always the good guys that are being, taken out, right? When it comes to assassinations, we could look at history, and it's always been the good guys. Most recently, Ronald Reagan. And even though some people might say that Ronald Reagan was a gray hat, for the most part, he was working with the White Hats, by the way. Otherwise, they wouldn't have attempted to assassinate him as well. Before him, of course, JFK Sr. And we all know now, right, based on the revelations of the temporal triple alliance and the time traveler, you could say time traveler White Hats like Tesla and John Trump, they were able to secure the real JFK. And even before that, Andrew Jackson. Well, who was Andrew Jackson? He was another president that was working with the White Hats who was prohibiting the establishment of a central banking system back in the I think it was over 150 years ago. Andrew Jackson, look him up. He was another patriot. And then even before him, McKinley, I heard, was again another White Hat that was assassinated. And even before McKinley, we had, of course, Lincoln, who was a whitehead, obviously, that was assassinated. So what we see here is that the good guys are always being the targets. So basically, under that common sense, you could say that the sleeping masses are now going to, hopefully, this was the whiteheads' goal as to why they allow this to happen. Hopefully, by now, the sleeping masses would snap out of their program and stop drinking the Kool-Aid and understand that, Brandon was always a puppet for the deep state. So it, what happened today is a huge wake-up call. It's a huge wake-up call, guys. It has galvanized the forces of light, apparently, who are collaborating on every level, right? Uniting them in one common cause. So the Earth Alliance, in collaboration with the Galactic Alliance, is now poised to lead humanity into a future of peace, prosperity, and enlightenment. We stand at the precipice of a great revelation, of a great disclosure that was prophesied about, known as the fullness of time, where everything that was ever hidden will be revealed to humanity. And that is the true meaning of apocalypse or revelation, right? It is the great reveal, what we've been waiting for. It's here, guys. The prophecies are being fulfilled, and the light is breaking through the darkness. Everything is coming to the light. Everything is coming to the surface. This was the final scare event. And as I speak, like I mentioned, this meeting that took place two days ago, yesterday as well. I think it went on from Thursday to Friday, and it ended Friday evening, from what I understand. This was the final meeting that was conducted by the forces of light to make sure that we do have a positive timeline. So let me assure you guys that there will be no planned alien invasion. All right. The Cabal has been stripped from their holographic technology and from their skull to brain or skull to head technology. So they won't be able to use that on the people. The victory will usher in a whole new world as a result of what happened today. We will finally witness the dawn of a new era. So, yeah, what happened today, again, guys, it was allowed by the White Hats because you could say that 45 had to sacrifice a piece of his ear, knowing his victory, and that's how much love that guy has for his country. He's what you call a true martyr. Martyr. I think I'm saying it right, right? Martyr. A true martyr. I hope I'm saying it right. So, yeah, things are going to be shifting gradually in the next few weeks as we approach October and November. Just know that everything, stuff's going to hit the fan. Things are going to get weird, but in a good way. In a good way, guys. Just make sure you guys have, 2 weeks worth of food supply and plenty of water to drink, because I feel that the 10 days of darkness is upon us, and the victory is ours, guys. There was a different timeline, you could say, where they did attempt it, and they did succeed in assassinating 45. And apparently that timeline was canceled because of the meeting that took place here in Cheyenne Mountains with NORAD and, of course, the Galactic Alliance. So we don't have to worry about anything else, guys. That was the scary event that some of the truthers were talking about. The reason I didn't really, I'm not a doomsdayer, guys. I don't like to talk about doom and gloom, but I did know that whatever was at stake was overall approved by the White Hats as a way to have a reason, again, to activate the martial law and win more support for 45, because there's still a lot of people who see him as the bad guy. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of people who are brainwashed by the media, who are drinking the Kool-Aid, and so hopefully they could use common sense and realize that only good people get attempted at their lives taken away. hopefully that's the case, guys. So if you guys have any questions for me, this is it. The last battle. Victory is ours. I hope you guys like my shirt. I got this shirt. It says, "I am voting for the convicted felon." It goes with my hat. I hope you guys like it. I don't care if it's offensive. I like wearing shirts that, um, you know, that trigger liberals, you could say. All right, so at this point, if you guys have any questions for me, I decided to go live just to give you guys an update as to what's really going on and what's been happening from behind the scenes regarding this scare event that apparently was not a success for the Cabal and was a major success for the White Hats, okay? So if you guys have any questions, this is your time to address them in big capital letters. No, I can't have these t-shirts on my website. They're not mine. I bought this t-shirt from a gentleman that was selling them in the corner of a street. He was selling, 45 hats, t-shirts. And when I saw this one, I said, wow, that's a good way to let everybody know, who I'm voting for. Yeah, apparently there was one death and a few people were shot, unfortunately. This is the thing. When it comes to this war between good and evil, there's always innocent civilians that end up getting hurt, or taken out, unfortunately. In the case of the one gentleman that did die. But again, guys, 45 is a martyr, all right? He knew what was going to happen. He didn't want to let anyone know, all right? It was all part of the final play, all right? People are now going to feel sorry for him. People that used to hate him, this is going to be like an aha moment, like, wait a minute. If this guy's the bad guy, why would they try to take him out? That's going to really just, strike a chord in their program, the program they've been under. That's going to really, really break the program. So it happened for a reason, guys. It happened for a reason. And that's how much that man loves our country. Again, guys, the White Hats know what's going to happen months in advance, years in advance. Predictive programming. I was informed that one of the White Hats was actually close with the writer of The Simpsons as to how he was able to, again, predict a lot of events in that TV show, The Simpsons. A lot of that stuff came true. So how soon, Mathis Chronicle says, how soon now, Ishmael, to EBS? Well, based on what happened today, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens tomorrow or even Monday. I wouldn't be surprised. What's today? Saturday. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens tomorrow, guys, on Sunday. What best way to bring forth the disclosure, right, on a day where everyone's home, where people aren't working? Sunday's the day where most people are home. So I would say tomorrow should be a good day for it. But again, I'm not going to say it's going to happen, but, what happened today should give the EBS the green light, in other words. How do I buy my hats? Again, guys, I bought this hat and this shirt from a guy that was selling 45 material on a street in a corner. I was just trying to help him out, and of course I like the stuff. So yeah, that's where I bought it. I don't know where he got it from. I don't even know if he's still there. This was in Colorado. Again, I just got back from Colorado, guys. And as I was landing, as my airplane was landing, as I was driving home, that's when I got the news and stuff. And so immediately I went into meditation, because at that point I was hearing the ring, the sound in your ear right before you're going to get a transmission. I go into meditation, and it turns out that for the last couple of days, there was a huge meeting that took place between the Earth Alliance and the Galactics that had to do with preventing, again, the assassination attempt at 45s, and of course, the counseling and neutralization of Project Bluebeam. For those that don't know, Project Bluebeam was supposed to be a fake alien invasion conducted by our own military industrial complex uh, and making it seem like we were being invaded by negative ETs or conquering ETs. But again, that timeline was canceled. It's not going to happen. The New World Order is gone. It's done. The Cabal is finished. Yeah, and if you don't believe me that Project Bluebeam was supposed to be the last card pulled by the Cabal, um, I believe it was the founder of NASA, who was an ex-Nazi, right? Von Berman or Von, forget his name. Berman, Von something. The guy who developed the secret space programs for the Nazis. Vern von Braun. There you go. Von Braun. He was the guy, right, who kind of spilled the beans and letting people know right at his deathbed that's the last move that was going to be played out by these neocons, as he called them. At the end, he defected from the dark guys and he decided to confess in order to save his soul. And he did say that there was going to be some sort of a fake alien invasion where the Cabal was going to use advanced holographic technology to make it seem like we're being invaded and attacked by extraterrestrials so that they would usher in their one world government. Okay. One of many attempts. Another attempt was supposed to be a straight out war between um, the Muslim nation and Christianity, right, through the jihads. That failed as well. And the first attempt was supposedly the Cold War. So we had the Cold War, which failed. That was supposed to be the first attempt of ushering in one world government. The second one was the war against the jihads, right? Jihad and the terrorist networks of Islam. And then the third one was supposed to be Project Bluebeam. That's it. No more, guys. We won. After Project Bluebeam, that's it. They have nothing else to show for. All right, this is it. So I'm looking at the chat at this time. Oh, and by the way, the reason Texas has been flooding, that was actually also done by the good guys. Again, bear in mind that the Cabal is stripped from their advanced alien tech. They no longer control HART. They no longer control CERN, and they no longer controlled the DO weapons. Okay, so what's happening in Texas in the last week was to flood other underground bases that were still in Texas. So that was actually done by the good guys guy. All right. No, the Whiteheads don't use clones. They use double, you could say, like double actor, like an actor, like a double. They use like a fake mask. But yeah, you're right. The Whiteheads don't clone people, but they have double people that are like doubles. They look exactly like the person that they're portraying, but they're really not. So basically, when we see a 45 rally or when we see him in court and it's not the real 45, it's basically a guy wearing a mask looking like 45. But yes, you're right. I had to actually investigate the situation regarding clones, and it turns out that the Whiteheads do not use clones. Okay. However, in one situation, they had to use the cloning facility, and that was to you could say to bring in a good Putin, all right? Because the original Putin was evil. So that was the only time, and this was approved by the Galactic Alliance, by the way. That was the only time that the good guys were able to clone somebody was when they did away with the original Putin to, allow the Putin that was in favor of the White Hat agenda and allow him to have power in Russia. So that was the only time where they cloned somebody was when they replaced Putin. Other than that, no, they don't use clones. For the most part, they stay away from cloning because they know that clones eventually, even though they have a fragment of that person's memories and soul. Eventually, it's not. It's not of God. It wasn't part of the natural birthing process. It's got no belly button. All right, that's another way to identify a clone. If the person has no belly button, well, he's a clone or she. Do you guys have any questions? Because I'm just looking at the chat. All right, so I see Trump. Thank you, Diana. She says Trump for going live tonight. It is greatly. Thanks for going. I thought you said Trump. I'm sorry. I guess I need my glasses. She says thanks for going live tonight, Ishmael. It's greatly appreciated. Oh, you guys are so welcome. Yeah, I wasn't planning on going live. I didn't schedule it, guys, but based on what happened, and based on the transmissions that I got from the Galactic Alliance, that's when I knew that I had to go live and let you guys know what was happening. Because some people were panicking, some people were thinking, God, are they going to try to do away with him in the hospital? Oh, no, this is it. They're done with, right? And that guy, Mark Violet, whatever his name was, that guy was a mind-controlled cell, all right? He was a mind-controlled cell. Yeah, supposedly he worked for Antifa, but we all know that even Antifa is Cabal run. So yeah, his name was Mark Violets, actually. I see another question from Joyful. How you doing, Joyful? Ishmael, is the fake nuclear scare still scheduled? No, there will be no nuclear war. Okay, that's one thing that the Galactic Alliance and the ETs, the positive ETs, will not allow, and that's been happening for over 40 years, ever since our Earth governments developed nuclear weapons. The Galactics have been on their butts. Okay, so there will be. Let me just repeat that again, guys. There will be no nuclear war. Okay, so don't try not to buy into that fear mongering apocalyptic doomsday scenario. Again, that is designed to fool you and to keep you off the positive timeline, right? That is designed to penetrate your thinking process, your belief systems. Don't feed any energy into that. So yeah, no fake nuclear scare, okay? And I know when people talked about this scare event, I know some of you thought it was going to be that, or some sort of Project Bluebeam, or some sort of released disease that was going to, kill off 90% of the population. No, guys. All of that was thwarted, all right? All of that and many other things, by the way. If you guys knew how many negative timelines existed in the realm of probabilities, you guys would be mind blown. And if it wasn't for the forces of light, guys, any of those negative timelines would have played out. So Oli Blue says, thank you so much for your live and reassuring us. We love you. Oh, I love you guys as well. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm just going to take random questions at this point. Somebody asked, was that a Trump double? And the answer to that is no. That was not a Trump double. That was the real 45. Again, that needed to happen because the reason it wasn't a Trump double is because when they patch his ear, or I think they might have to stitch it. He has to have the evidence to show that there was an attempt at his life. That's the only reason why they didn't bring in the double. So it was the real Trump. But again, every move was calculated. When he turned his head right in the nick of time, right? That was all done because of the fact that it was calculated. That's when he actually heard turn at this time and to the right. So everything was pre-planned, guys. Okay, everything was pre-planned. Again, he took a chunk of his ear off for us. All right, for us. No, Trump wasn't in Cheyenne Mountain when that took place. Again, the real Trump needed to have his ear The real Trump had to had that evidence in his ear, is what I'm trying to say. Yes, will be interesting to see reaction of Trump haters. More like I said, guys, this needed to happen in order to win more support, win the people over to Trump, because there's still a good chunk of people who think he's the bad guy, who think he's the like Hitler. They call him Hitler. People are so ignorant. This is from what I hear. Some people think he's a racist. They call him, Hitler, blah blah blah. But of course, we know that that's not true. Thank you, Ishmael. I'll send you more when the Iraqi dinars revalue. Oh, you're welcome, sister. I appreciate you. I want to again thank my sister Levita for giving me a copy of The Secret Government a year ago at the Conscious Life, or this February at the Conscious Life Expo. Thank you so much. It was because of her that I was able to republish it again. Yeah, Florida has been hit too. Well, apparently, Florida, there's a lot of shady things that are going in the underground of Florida as well, guys. And some of them being Nephilim giants. All right, some of them are Nephilim giants that have lived underneath Florida for thousands of years. I want to welcome all 1,175 people that are in the house. If you guys are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe, as it helps my channel grow. And please share this with as many people as possible. I also want to acknowledge Radiant Guardians is in the house. Tim Potter, Mathis Chronicles. Who else is in the house? George A36350, I believe. K Stone is in the house. Who else is in the house? Amanda Tempori, Lee Starr, Samuel Hussein is in the house. Colleen Burke, But is in the house, I think, or Chat. I need my glasses. I'm butchering some of your last names. I apologize. Sky Grounded, Stay Grounded is in the house. That's their name. Who else is in the house? Erin Elizabeth is in the house. Nature Boy, and just to name a few. There's so many of you, and the chat is going pretty fast. Yeah, so for those of you that are just popping on, there was a huge, you could say, interplanetary meeting that took place over the last 48 hours. And the meeting was about how to mitigate and counteract the Cabal's last effort in, again, defeating the White Hats. And the first was about making sure that 45 did not get assassinated. All right, everything was pre-planned. Even the way he turned his head, that was all part of the script. The second thing that they were there for was to counteract any possible threats of a fake alien invasion using advanced holographic technology, which is what they call Project Bluebeam. As a result of the Cabal's final efforts, which at that point they have none, that was it. Project Bluebeam, the assassination of 45, if they would have succeeded, that would have been it. That would have been it, guys. There is no other person that would have finished the job like 45. All right. And it sucks that they're not even allowing RFK in the race. I'm sorry to say this, guys, but RFK is a good man. All right. He should have been in that debate, and he's running independent. That's another good way of collapsing both sides. All right. Both compromise sides. All right. We have to be honest here. Before 45, even the Republican Party was compromised. and controlled by the cabal, right? If you guys recall, the 2016 election was either supposed to be between the witch and Jeb Bush, whatever his name was, Jeb Bush, right? And then we know that 45 came in as a wild card and kind of, you know, threw a monkey wrench in their plans. So before 45, yes, even the Republican Party was controlled by the deep state, not just the Democrats, right? So I don't understand why RFK cannot be part of the race. RFK is such a good man. And hey, guys, I don't know if you guys have been listening to RFK, but that guy exposes more stuff. You know, when it comes to the truth, he exposes a lot of stuff that I've never seen anybody else expose. Yes, Trump apparently has more than just angels. He's got an entire fleet of commanders working for him. And Commander Valiant Thor, Commander Corridor are among them. No, Enki is not a good guy, and I mentioned this before, and I'm mentioning it again. That person, Elena Dannon, whatever her name is being used by pretty much by Enki to infiltrate the Starseed community. Let's see. Nature Boy, thank you so much for the super chat. Just wanted to say your work has helped so many people. Thank you, Ishmael, for being a light to us. You are so welcome, guys, and I will continue to do so. As long as I have breath in my body, I will continue to do so. I'm just looking for questions. If you guys could type your questions in capital letters, that would be greatly appreciated. You guys have questions? No, it wasn't a double. People keep asking me if it was a Trump double, and no. And the reason being, and I know most of you would say, well, why wouldn't they put a double in case they, succeeded? And the answer to that is they weren't going to succeed because the Galactic Alliance, they have technology that could actually move bullets around. All right, they have the technology to kind of uh, you could play with our reality here in the 3D. The third dimensional reality to the galactics is very malleable. All right, it's like plastic. They could bend time. They could distort matter if they wanted to. So they do have the technology to control in which directions the bullets go. So everything was pre-planned. The real 45 had to be there today on at his rally in order to take a hit on his ear, and he knew that, all right? In order for him to take a hit so that he could eventually win the support of his haters, all right? So it was all pre-planned. Not to mention, um, this also gives more fuel to the Earth Alliance um, to initiate the mass global arrest, okay? Let's see. Ollie Blue says, thank you so much for your live and reassuring us. We love you. I love you guys too. Again, guys, we have the support of the entire host of heaven. And this includes beings that come from other universes as well. Yes, this will usher in the fall of the IRS, the corrupt banking system. 90%, or is it 87% of Congress is going to have to step down. Senators, I think over 60% of the senators are going to have to step down. And from what I understand, the Supreme Court is now mostly white hats. So yeah, it's going to be a huge changeover, you could say. Yes, Val Thor is very real, guys. He has like a very, pretty boy look. He combs his hair to the side like a pompadourish to the side. He's got like an Elvis slash Ricky Ricardo from I Love Lucy meshed into one. That's what he looks like. He always has his hair done really well. He wears a tie, but there's times where he's in his spacesuit, of course. But when he meets in NORAD with NORAD, when he meets with Earth Alliance, he always dresses like us. He wears, of course, a suit. So again, word is that that guy by the name of Mark Violets, who supposedly was the shooter, the lone shooter, was under the control of was under mind control apparently, and yeah, Mark Violets was under mind control, and it was all part of the final script. Now it is believed that immediately um, his life was taken. I believe so. And some people say it was Secret Service, but no, it wasn't Secret Service. All right. That's what the narrative is telling us. You guys want to know what happened, Ways? Well, the whole point was, the whole part of his programming was that if he, for whatever reason, failed and didn't succeed, then he had to take his own life in order to keep him quiet. So even though the news is saying that the Secret Service shot him, I'm talking about this guy by the name of Mark Violets, who was supposedly the shooter, and he was. No, he actually took his own life. But of course, they're going to make it seem like he was shot by Secret Service. No, no, he took his own life, and that was part of the program. Ishmael, where do the blue Arcturian aliens come from? I have been dreaming of them a lot recently. They come from the Botes constellation, from how many light years away? I'm not sure, but they come from the Botes constellation. And yes, some of them are blue, not all of them. Some of them are purple, believe it or not, and some of them have white skin, just like the tall whites from Lyra. Ishmael, is Melania, Trump's wife, is she a Pleiadian commander? Yes, she is a Pleiadian commander. Thank you for bringing that up. Let's see. Oops, I just lost the chat. No, Diana wants to know, can you find information on Valiant Thor if you Google him? And the answer is no. You will not find any information on key players within the Earth Alliance or the Galactic Alliance on the internet, guys. For the very reason of that they have to keep their steps a secret, all right? They don't just publicize what they're going to do and who they are, all right? Because, come on, think about it. The Cabal has been running the internet, and everything we search and everything that we discover on the internet is all run by artificial intelligence. So one of the things that the commanders do is they don't give away, what they're going to do online, right? They just don't give it away online. Let's see. We have another question. Mark Violence. Okay, that's his name, not Violence. Thank you. Violence. I'm just looking for questions at this time. Do you expect JFK Jr. will come out of hiding now? I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it if, but again, first we need a global military arrest of the lackeys, um, and all of the people that were involved in their networks before anybody like that comes out. Who are Ashtar? Ashtar Command is the airborne division. It's pretty much the leader of the well, it depends. The positive Ashtar, because we do have an alternative universe where Ashtar became evil. But in the positive universe, Ashtar is the leader of the intergalactic fleets, coordinating the rescue mission of the Earth here at this time. Um, let's see. I'm trying to read some of the questions, but it's going so fast. Is Baron Trump a Pleiadian? A Palladian? You mean a Pleiadian? Palladian, Pleiadian. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if you know it's most of his family is part of the Galactic Alliance. I wouldn't be surprised. No, no, no. Again, guys, the White Hats don't use clones. The only time that they had to use a clone was when they had to replace Putin, and that's it. Other than that, they don't use clones. Okay, it goes against, honestly, it goes against their ethics. You see, the White Hats are very ethical when it comes to morality, when it comes to justice, when it comes to living righteous and always doing what's right. You know, these are the real Christians here, right, guys? These are the people that walk the talk, and and so they don't do anything that violates their oath to the one infinite creator. I'm just looking for questions, guys. I'm just looking for questions. What is your question, Tony? What is your question, brother? I don't see it. Ishmael, do you know any other worlders with the name Run or Rudy? Worlders. You mean off-worlders? Oh, off-worlders. Okay, like ETs? No, I have never heard anybody call Run or Rudy. You know, in one timeline, or not in one timeline, you could say back in 2018, was it 18 or 19? They did actually, I'm sorry to say, they did assassinate 45 and they used something beyond a medbed. I don't know what, I think it's called the holographic technological regenerator to bring him back, which is a little bit more advanced than a medbed. So there was one time where they did succeed, but knowingly that they had the technology to, again, bring him back to life, the Galactic Alliance did. And this was just in one instance. Again, guys, this is one of many attempts, right? But this is the final attempt because of the fact that now they have a reason to implement the mass arrest. This is a good question from Starseed Magic. Was the innocent victim in on it? That part I don't know. I could always verify it with the Galactics and let you know maybe Monday, but I don't know to be exact if they were all in on it. But I do know that there was one casualty, one death, and a few other people that are injured as a result of what happened today. Yes, med beds are very safe. Of course, they're safe. They've been used in our universe for millions upon millions of years by many, Type 1 interplanetary and Type 2 stellar civilizations. Well, Melissa says this is not the final scare event. Well, you're right. It was the next one was supposed to be Project Bluebeam, but again, there was an emergency meeting last night that took place here in Cheyenne Mountains that was about making sure that Project Bluebeam, which is really the final scare event, all right, that is supposed to be what's going to that was supposed to usher in the one world government of the Cabal, but it's not going to happen. So yeah, it's again, guys. Project Bluebeam was canceled. Okay, it's not going to happen. Queen Romana. I really don't know much about Queen Romana. I could always investigate her and let you know next time. No, I wasn't on a. I didn't go on a road trip. I actually flew to Colorado and back. Tony, I still can't see your question, brother. You might want to retype it if you can. Nature Boy, how you doing? Ishmael, was the solar flash supposed to happen in 2012? Did they jump us to a different reality? That's a very good question, my friend. In one instant, you could say in one parallel Earth reality, yes, it was supposed to happen. However, because we are living, we are using the Gregorian calendar, which is 12 to 14 years ahead of the actual sacred calendar. 2012 is actually 2024. So, it could happen by the end of this year, as far as I know, because this is the real 2012. All right. If you fast forward 12 to 14 years into the future, then you have 2024. Do you think that there will be a retaliation over what happened today? By whom? By the White Hats? Well, the only retaliation is activating the world military, the positive military, and eliminating all the bad people. That's the only retaliation I could think of. Again, this gave the White Hats ammunition to finalize their victory. So somebody wants me to explain the 10 days of darkness. Well, it's just the time when the positive military is going to be conducting massive arrests worldwide of all the lackeys, of all the pawns, of all the sleeping cells, like that guy Mark Violence, and so on and so forth. So they want people to have at least 2 weeks worth of food supply. So the reason they call it 10 days of darkness is because everything's going to be down. The internet is going to be down, Wi-Fi, your cell phone, your car is not going to be able to start. It's almost like there will be no electricity for about 10 days, with the exception, of course, of Signal. Signal is the only app that's going to be applicable because that's going to be powered by Starlink. And then after the 10 days of darkness, Starlink is going to restart everything. The internet, electricity, everything's going to work again after 10 days of darkness. So it's like a metaphor describing 10 days of no power, 10 days of no internet, and no electricity, and so on and so forth. Is fifth dimension a different world? Will we be going away to another world? Not at all. No. Some people are still under the impression that we're going to be going to a different planet when the ascension takes place. No, it's not going to happen that way. We're actually, the fifth dimension is already here. So actually, all the dimensions are here. They're all superimposed, right? They all exist within the same space at the same time. All we're going to do is shift into that Earth reality, right? That is already here existing in a higher frequency. So as we continue to raise our frequency, so does the planet's frequency continues to raise. And so that's how we're going to be entering the fifth dimensional Earth pretty soon. because we're going to hit a critical mass where um, the collective the collective vibration of the planet is going to be vibrating in a fifth dimensional, frequency hertz. All right, so if you need oxygen at your house to breathe, is that what you're saying, Morgan? From what I believe is that all those people that need medical care are going to be attended to immediately by the White Hats. So the White Hats have records of everybody who has some sort of an issue where they require oxygen and so on and so forth. So if it's uh, regarding anything like that, it is believed that the White Hats are going to provide the care. So we don't have nothing to worry about. Yes, the Schumann resonance is going to be off the charts once we get the collective of humanity vibrating to the fifth dimensional frequency. Well, all roads lead to the real 2012, which is the end of 2024. We'll see what happens by the end of December, guys. Again, if the Mayan calendar is truly 12 to 14 years off, what does that tell us? That the real 2012 is 2024. Well, 2024, 2025 to be exact. Sorry, I'm late. Are the white hats wizards of white healing magic, as black hats do dark magic users? Yes, I mentioned this before and I'll mention it again. At the highest levels of the echelons of the white hat echelon network, we have white wizards. Yes, we have white wizards, people that live for hundreds of years. Um, and they are people from many walks, many races, Asian, Caucasian, African American, Indian, like native, and of course Indian from India. So these white wizards represent the four corners of our planet, to be exact. Again, what happened today is giving full ammunition for the white hats to initiate martial law. So it's best to just have 10 days of food and water at this time, because you never know, it could happen right away as a result of what happened today. But again, everything was pre-planned, right? 45 sacrificed a piece of his ear ahead of time, knowing what was going to happen, um, in order to win the favor of the haters. How did your Gaia interview go? It went well. Yeah, I shot my episode in just 45 minutes, and I believed I did very, very good. So I was able to explain the multiverse and all kinds of things on Gaia. So I think people's minds, people that watch that show when it airs, I think their minds are going to be blown, because I did cover a lot of information on that show in just 45 minutes, guys. I covered a lot. Okay, so what I guess some of you are still concerned of a possible magnetic pole shift. There was a live where I talked about how they are mitigating that, how they incorporated four biospheres, right? That are actually making sure that the poles don't flip to the point where there's a crustal displacement effect, right? That's where the continents shift. That's not going to happen in this timeline, guys. It's going to be a shift, swift translation from the 3D Earth to the fourth and 5D Earth. Yeah, the magnetic pole shift is inevitable, but it's not going to cause a crustal displacement effect. It's going to be just a translation of realities. The old electromagnetic field of the planet will fully collapse as a new multiple bands of electromagnetic fields become reactivated. And this is going to incorporate Starlink and, of course, the new quantum financial system. As we go into quantum technology, we're going to be using quantum technology um, when this happens. Yes, I am planning on going live with Jenny Lee, the Oracle, next Saturday. I guess I should just mention that now, let you guys know that I will be going live with Jenny Lee. I'm just looking for questions. If you guys have any questions, drop them on me right now. This is a perfect time to ask me anything. I am a little tired. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I just got back from Colorado, but after what happened today, I needed to go live. I felt like you guys needed to be updated as to what really is happening from behind the scenes and why this needed to happen. It was all planned and approved by the White Hats. Yes, it was initially planned by the Dark Cabal, but it was allowed by the White Hats because if the White Hats really wanted to, guys, they've actually could have taken out Mark Violent, Violence, whatever his last name is, a week in advance, a week before, if they wanted to, but they didn't. When will Guardians be at full capacity? Are you talking about the chosen ones that are down here, right? That are down here in Human 4 who are going to activate and transform into superhumans? Or are you talking about the Guardians that are part of the Guardian Alliance? And that includes all universes, all dimensions, all realms. Because again, the Guardian Alliance, guys, goes beyond the Galactic Alliance. They go beyond federations. They extend to multiple realms, even beyond the 11th dimensional spheres of the physical known universes. They go beyond that. Let's see. All right, so is intervention happening? Somebody's asking. The way the good, positive extraterrestrials intervene is from behind the scenes. They set things into motion by collaborating with Earth members. In this case, we have positive aliens that are working with NORAD, the Earth Alliance, and so on and so forth. So that's how they intervene. However, negative extraterrestrials, they don't. They just straight intervene to the point where they pretty much call the shots, gain control of governments, and make sure they put their puppets in positions of power, and they just run the show on their behalf. That's how negative aliens control things. Okay, and the only reason the negative aliens haven't openly taken us over is because of the Galactic Alliance. The Galactic Alliance has always been there to make sure that there was no open invasion. Yes, that's right. The negative aliens are bullies. They have no heart. They literally go around the universe and take any planet's resources at will, mutate the races, enslave them, and then if they need to, destroy the planet. If they feel like they don't no longer need resources from the planet, they leave it devastated. But after the ascension, I heard that there are a few hundred planets that are still under the control of the Draconians. in our universe, not technically here in our galaxy. And those planets are soon going to be liberated as well. I get a free bowl of soup with that hat. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, you guys like my shirt too, huh? I should stand up and model it for you guys. I knew you guys were gonna like my shirt. And I wear it everywhere, you know. I don't hide. I don't hide from my beliefs. It definitely triggers people. Of course, it's going to trigger people. All right, guys. I'm going to take maybe just one more question. Have I ever met Trump? No, not in person. Not in person. But you could say his higher self in the astral, he's very active. Yes, in the astral, we've met, but not in person. Somebody here doesn't like my shirt. They say it's offensive. It's fine with me. The evil AI will be fighting with the middle timeline gifted people after the flush. That's going to happen, yes, in the third timeline, which is the middle timeline. Like the Marvel movies, yeah, there's going to be a timeline where you're going to have superhumans, physical angels, and AIs, and regular humans with no abilities, no powers, all coexisting at the same time. That's the middle timeline. And that middle timeline also comes to an end at the end of the millennium, where we finally clash with the technocratic dystopian timeline. But I mentioned this before, and I'll mention it again. We've already won that war, guys. The future already happened. Remember that. It's happening as I speak. It's all happening simultaneously. Um, I have no control over the questions. I don't know if somebody's monitoring or filtering your questions, guys. I don't have a moderator, to be honest, so I don't know what's going on. Look, my hands are here. I'm just reading the chat. I'm going to take one more question, and then I'm going to go have dinner. You are so welcome, Diana. Ishmael, I heard you say in one of your interviews that you used to model back in the days. That is true. I did that for about 2 years when I was 20 and 21, but then I had my spiritual awakening. Then I had my spiritual awakening and left that modeling world. All right, guys. I think this is it. Again, the whole purpose of coming live is to let you guys know that this was the end of the script being played out. Victory is ours. Project Bluebeam has been canceled. We don't have to worry about any other scary event. No nuclear war is going to happen. All right. This was it. This scary event obviously backfired on them. All right. It would have been a scary event to us if they would have succeeded. But the fact that they didn't succeed and 45 is alive, well, and healthy means only one thing, guys, that the victory is ours. With that in mind, I hope you guys have a beautiful evening, rest of your Saturday. I will see you guys Monday night to give you guys a further update. All right, guys. God bless each and every single one of you guys, and we will see you Monday evening at the same time.